to check if there is any question that somebody has asked that we need to answer. And again, if there's somebody who has not understood anything. So before we start, I will welcome Abigail to pray. Abigail, Iteo, can you pray for us? And then we start.
Okay, let us bow our heads for a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we humble ourselves before you this time, O Lord. We thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for our teacher. We thank you for each and every one of us this moment, dear Lord. We pray that you may take over this lesson, that Father, as we learn, may we be able to memorize everything that we learn from this session, and that we may benefit in the long run, dear Lord. Thank you because you're mighty and there's none like you. Thank you for hearing our prayer. We pray all this trusting and believing in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Amen. Now you can remember those who saw their marks for top 100. You saw that I calculated for you the marks that you are supposed to get if this science paper that you did was supposed to be a KCP paper. I wanted to do that because sometimes you people, you normally feel comfortable because science is becoming a very easy subject. As you do it, you find that you have 90s, you have 98. But I hope that for those who saw their marks are able to know that even if you have 98, how many marks you are supposed to get was it if it was a KCP paper, because there is something we normally call standard marks. So those standard marks are always given exactly to help you know that the marks that you are getting are raw. So they are not as they've been given in the KCP. And you can remember I put the number of ticks so that those are the things that they use. They don't use the ×2. So they use the tick. So make sure as you revise, you know exactly what you are doing. Make sure the concept, you get them clearly so that when you are answering any question, you'll be able to do your best. And again, as I told you last time, science has got sections. Like I had the teacher for Kiswahili telling you that Kiswahili has got sections. So even science has got sections. And the sections are in the part of different types of questions that we are having. So we have function questions. Those who are writing, we have functions or uses questions. These ones are just asking you they are knowledge questions. They're just telling you what is the use of this, what is the function of this. So those are function questions. We have characteristic questions. Characteristic questions are those questions that requires you to know how to describe something. So you can describe a molar teeth, you can describe the heart, you can describe how and whether instruments work. Those ones are called characteristic questions. Then we have experimental questions that takes the largest part of a science paper. What is it that I need to know in the experimental questions? I am supposed to know the materials that are used for that experiment. I have to know the structure, how that experiment look like, how the diagram for that experiment look like. I also have to know the observation that I can make when I'm doing that experiment. Observations are those things that you can see. Then I also have to know the principle under which, or the function of that experiment. And then the uses of the materials that are used in that experiment. So if I've been asked which one of the following materials is used to mount the planet, I know I've already known the materials and their uses. So I'll be able to tell which materials is used to mount the planet. That is experimental questions. Now, after experimental questions, we have the diagrammatical questions. What about diagrammatical questions? We have two types. We have the diagrams that sometimes we call them normal diagrams. Normal diagrams are those diagrams of the heart, the diagram maybe of a flower, or the diagram of female reproductive system. Those diagrams, if you see them in an exam, the first thing you do before you go to the question is to label it, label the parts. Number two, after labeling the parts, sketch the functions. Sketch the functions. So once you've done that, now you'll be able to answer questions when they come, because they only ask from those diagrams, they only ask to label the parts, or they only ask you to state the function of different parts. Then there is experimental diagrams that I've already told you. Ensure that you know how it look like, what are the function of the materials that is used to make it, and then check the question. Is it of observation, or the question is of conclusion? So when you get an experimental diagram, you write conclusion and observation before you go to the question. So that's why we normally say your science paper must be dirty. Why am I always saying that it must be dirty? Because you'll be writing all these things that I'm saying in that paper before you answer. Before you go to the question, you do all those ones. And then the second last type of questions that we have is called process question. Now, what are these process questions? What are they? The process questions are these questions that I have 1, 2, 3, 4. They are put in in Roman numbers. So they can be procedural questions. So the process question can be a procedure. If it is a procedure of making something, just know which one is the first, second, and the last. Those three. Once you have known the three, you'll be able to maneuver through the choices and get them. For the procedural questions, know the first step, the second, and the last. Now, the other process question is these ones that are telling you which ones are social effects only and which ones are health effects only. So make sure you are able to tell. If I read in front, you write, this is health. Kama ni umesoma addiction, health. Lack of concentration, health. So you write in front of them what they are before you are asked. The same applies to the functions and to the characteristics of animals. When we are talking about cold-blooded, you need to write which one is which. If you are talking about warm-blooded, you need to write which one is which. If you are talking about amphibians, what is which one? So those ones you also write in front. And then lastly, we have these process questions that are now talking about respectively. So if they're asking you respectively, now once you have written them up there, now you'll be able to pick which one is which. Then the last type of question is flowcharts. Flowcharts, you just need to understand the flowcharts. If it's for a flower, it can be a flower. It can be classification of animals. It can be classification of methods of separation of mixtures. It can be miscible and immiscible liquids. So the flowcharts, make sure you manipulate it very well so that you know which one has not been grouped correctly. That's the question they ask there, either correctly or wrongly, or which ones were placed correctly. Those are the only questions they ask there in the flowcharts where we are talking about the procedures and all the rest. So those are the type of questions that we have. So once you've known that, so when we are reading a question, you will be able to tell us which type of question it is when we start now answering questions. This paper was not done badly. This paper was not done badly. We did well, but I want to check because we only had 2 questions of the most fail, but I want to move together because we only have 1 hour. So I want everybody to write their questions. Evelyn, now be very keen there so that you write all the questions that people have written so that we start with them. So write your question that you wanted me to answer right now in the chat. Then Evelyn will pick it and she will be telling us which one to answer. So Evelyn, start 5:20. Move very fast because the chats are moving very fast, Evelyn. We have seen 5:20, 22, number 7, number 11, 17, 23, 36, 13, 48, 23 you have written, 48 you have written, 40, 10, 17, 29, 22, I think you have written 22, 43, 3, 36, and 26. So Evelyn, I'm starting with number 3. So you'll be telling me which one is next. So I will start with number 3. Then you'll tell me the next one to go to. So just check, keep on the chat and check all the questions so that we answer all of them at once instead of just answering 2 questions, then we come back. So let's just go with all of them. Okay. So I will start with number 3. And when I'm doing the questions, I will request you to be very, very keen with the questions so that you'll be able to answer them correctly and tell me exactly what we are supposed to know in each and every question. So let's start from question 3. And the person who failed question 3 is the person to read. So if you fail question 3, can you read? If you fail question 3, can you read? Somebody, this person who failed question number 3, can you read it?
The following are characteristics of animals. One, body has no scales, lays and fertilizer eggs, manually lives in water. They young ones have gills. Which part of the animals has the characteristics listed above?
Mute now, mute. I hope everybody has written the question that you want us to answer, and Evelyn has captured them. Now let me ask just a simple question. Just one person to unmute and tell me, out of the type of a question that I've talked about, number 3 is which type of question? This Eunice knew what I wanted to ask. Eunice. Okay. So Eunice, this one is what we call a process question. And what did I say how to answer process questions? I write in front of that question, what is it? Because the following are characteristics of animals. So I take my brain to the classification of animals class 5, so that I know which animal has this. So right, body has no scales. Which animal is that? Write in the chat. Body has no scales. I just want to pick 3 things, 3 people who have written. That is amphibians, correct? So people have known what they are supposed to do. So right in front here, amphibians. Lay and fertilize egg. Write in the chat, lay and fertilize egg. Which animals are those that are laying and fertilize egg? Okay, so that is fish and amphibians, correct? So fish and amphibians lay and fertilize egg. But now you see, number 1 was only amphibian. This one here is amphibian and fish. Partially live in water. Which animals is partially living in water? Amphibians, very good. Now fish is not there. The young ones have gills. Automatically that is amphibian. So you have now realized that you have concluded, before you are asked a question, you have already concluded that these characteristics are for amphibians. Therefore, I go and write front. Front means those are the examples of amphibians. So whichever they ask me now. So what are the examples of amphibians? We have frog, we have newt, we have salamander, and we have, which one am I leaving? Toad. And I'm seeing people are writing them there in the chat. So if you don't know, pick things from the chat. I want that chat to contain only science things. That chat should only have things of science so that somebody can go there and pick what he or she want to pick. So those ones are examples of amphibians. Now let me come now and read the question. Which pair of animals, you see, which pair of animals as the characteristics listed above? Already I have identified that this is amphibians, and already I have written the examples of amphibians. What am I going to do? I'm going now to eliminate. So let me go to the choices and eliminate. Once I've seen turtle, I remove turtle. I remove tilapia. I remove crocodile. So I remain with toad and newt, because already I have known everything in that question. If you have a question now, ask. We have already answered number 3. Nani yako na swali? Silent means no question. Thank you very much. Evelyn, we are moving.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
Teacher, there's somebody who asked number 1 and number 2.
Oh, there was number 1 and number 2.
Yes.
So let's go back to number 1 again. Most farmers practice stall feeding in order to, before you answer a question, that kind of a question, you must be able to know that stall feeding come from which class. It comes from class 6. Which topic? The topic of animals. Which subtopic? We are talking about methods of grazing. So you go to the animals, and check the not classification, but we are talking about method of grazing, and then see which methods of grazing do you have. So we have 3. We have zero grazing. Sometimes we call it stall feeding. We have herding, and we also have rotational grazing. So those are the methods that we have for we call methods of grazing. Now this is what we call stall feeding. Now what is it? Why is it being called stall feeding? Because the animals we have built something, a structure for animals where they are staying, and that's the place where they are eating. So we bring food for them. This is an example of herding, like Maasai's. They move with the cows. You can now see the herding. They move there. So let's go to stall feeding. These are grazing, we call herding. But I wanted to go to zero grazing. It's also called that. So the animals are kept in a house called a stall. The farmer harvests the pasture or fodder and take it to the animals. It is very popular in keeping dairy cows for milk, the one that we are seeing. It is also common in areas where shambas are small. That's why somebody was asking, which method can we use in town? So in the urban areas, we use the stall feeding. We cannot use herding because there's no land there. So we have something like that. This is where the animals are, and you can see now where they are. What are the advantages? Livestock cannot get disease easily since their movement is limited. The feeds are used to the maximum. So those are the advantages. You can read them later, the advantages. And you can see manure is easily collected. Animals can be observed from close quarters. The animals are more productive. But what are the disadvantages? Disease can easily spread, yes, because they are staying together. Right now, we are not going to school because of corona. Corona can be spread very easily when we are overcrowded. So that's why people are at their home right now, because of the disease. When you are together, you can get a disease easily. It is also expensive to start and require a lot of labor, especially in planting, caring, harvesting, and transporting feeds. Due to limited movement, animals do not have a chance to exercise because they are just there resting in the house. Therefore, if we have that, now the question is asking us, most farmers practice stall feeding in order to do what? Is it occupy their extensive grazing land, which I've said is not there? Spread manure easily. Okay, that is an advantage. Make use of the least land available. Yes, that one is also advantages. Spend less money on animals. No. So the answers, and there is something I didn't say in KCP questions. There is something I didn't say in a KCP questions. In KCP questions, always you will have to find two choices that are giving you stress. Like now in this question, already number 1, we have already eliminated A and D. But now we are remaining with B and C. Spread manure easily. But for stall feeding, we are not talking about spread. We are saying manure can be collected. It's not spreading. You get what I'm saying there now? The difference between B and C? Manure is there. Yeah, manure is there, but now this one is not spreading. This one we are collecting manure easily. That's why I hope the marking scheme was saying the answer was C. I hope so. Make use of the least land available. The answer was supposed to be cut. I hope so. Evelyn, you are confirming the marking scheme.
We see
Okay.
that do diseases spread quickly in stall feeding? Do diseases spread quickly in stall feeding?
Yeah, you see, the reason why, mute, okay, thank you. I like that kind of a question. The reason why the disease spread easily is because these animals, and you see now the grid that the Kenyans have, they have a small piece of land, a small place, wamejenga nyumba kidogo tu, lakini they want to put 10 cows in a place. So let's see if one cow is sick. Like now, the reason why we are learning online, I hope you know, Sharon. Sharon? Sharon?
Yes.
Do you know the reason why we are learning online?
Yes.
It's because there is a disease that can be spread easily when people are together. So in the stall feeding, when the animals are together, when one becomes sick, kama moja imepata corona, zote watapata corona because they are in one place. So that's why disease spread easily in stall feeding. Sharon? And people have written there due to congestion. Yes, I like the words that I'm getting in the chat. Those words are the ones I need. Yeah. Sharon, you are clear?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, number 2, the main. Remember. Last weekend, I said anytime we are meeting the word, the main reason, meaning the 3 of them are correct, except one is the main. One is very main among the 4, not the 3, the 4 of them. One is very main. So when you get this question of main, be very, very keen so that you don't just need to choose a choice. You need a choice. You need to take the main one. Diet obtained by animals after feeding on maize stalk. Maize stalk is an example of a carbohydrate. So automatically, the answer for this maize stalk will be carbohydrates. Can provide vitamin, proteins, and minerals. But the main thing that it can provide, the main reason why we have maize stalk is because of carbohydrates. So that is the main thing. So we don't go, that one we don't even need to look at vitamin, we don't need to look at protein. Proteins are provided by legumes. Carbohydrates are provided by grasses and other cereals. So the number 2 was supposed to be A. Let's move on, Vilin.
Number 5.
So let's go to number 5. Let me admit some people here. So number 5. So let's go to number 5. Number 5, we are talking about the main. Angalia that question again. We are like as we said in Signal, we don't just give questions. We give questions in line with what the Kenya National Examination Council is talking about. So if you get the word the main, as I've said, make sure you are very, very keen. The main function of the urinary bladder is to do what? So make sure you know this one first. I remember this question is coming from a diagram. And what did I tell you? Diagram, what did I say? You see, that's a normal diagram. Because it is not drawn now, you need to sketch it. Because it's now not drawn, you need to sketch it. What am I going to sketch? Let me show you what you are supposed to sketch. That is the part of the urinary bladder. So let's go to the reproductive or the excretory. So if you look at here, this is the diagram you are supposed to sketch. This one here. This is the diagram that we are supposed to sketch. This one. I hope you are seeing it. Although the diagram is not very clear, I hope you are seeing it. I hope you are seeing it, Evelyn. Are you seeing the diagram?
Yes.
Okay. So if I get a question like this, which is coming from a diagram, I have to sketch that diagram because I don't know it.
Yes.
They have not drawn the diagram. So if they have not drawn diagrams, I have to sketch it so that I come up with what these people are asking. And therefore, that's why this is the one that we are supposed to sketch. So this is the kidneys. We have 2 kidneys. We have the ureter and then the bladder and the urethra down here. So these are the things that you need to know, that the kidney produce urine. It is the one that is producing urine because it filters the blood to remove the excess urea, water, and salt. That is what is combination of urine. Is excess water, salt, and urea. Then that thing here must be taken to the urinary bladder where they are being stored temporarily. So by which organ? Ureter. So ureter is a pipe that takes urine from the kidney to the bladder. Then the bladder will store urine for some time. Then after storing urine for temporarily, then the urine will come out of the body of a person through urethra. So that is what is taking place there. So once you have analyzed the topic like the diagram like that with your sketching and drawing, then now you come and ask the main function of the urinary bladder pass urine out of the body. That is which one? Write the answer in the chat. Pass urine out of the body. Pass urine out of the body. Pass urine out of the body. I'm not seeing answers there. Or urethra. Thank you. So that's correct. Urethra. Thank you. Store urine. Answer in the chat. Store urine. Answer in the chat. Store urine. Answer in the chat. Store urine. I'm still not seeing. Hey, somebody's writing urethra. Urethra. This man, Mary Gully. That is wrong. Store urine is bladder. Correct. Thank you very much. I'm seeing people making use of the chat. Filter urine from the blood. Right? The answer in the chat. Filter urine. We filter urine from the blood. Write the answer for filter. Filter. I'm still seeing for bladder. Still seeing for bladder. I'm talking about the filtering. Which one is doing filtering? Which one is doing filtering? Correct. That is the kidney now. Thank you very much. Then lastly, make urine. Which one is making urine? Let me see the answer for that. Making urine. People are still writing kidney. Making urine. We'll go with what, Evelyn? Making urine. Sharon?
I think kidney is the answer.
Yes.
Making urine. Which one is making urine? That is the kidney.
Body.
Yeah. I think making urine is the kidney, but we don't use that word in science. Making. We just talk about producing or filtering the blood to remove urine. Correct. So if you are being asked the urinary bladder, automatically we go for boy. Somebody's talking.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
Is there going to be a question that is going to ask the blood vessels that bring blood to be filtered in the kidney?
No. That one you're going to meet in Form 2, Form 3 there. Here you only need, the main thing that you need to know here, kidney is as a function of the kidney. Just know the function of the kidney is to filter the blood. In fact, even KCP, filtering the blood, they don't bring, because just know that the function is the excretion of urine. And what are the components of the urine, and how is the urine moved from the body to where it's being removed? Those are the only things that they ask. The other ones for the blood capillaries and the rest, they don't ask. And even other types, there are even blood, how do we call blood vessels in the kidney? And they don't ask those ones. Those ones you're going to meet in Form 2. Evelyn, next question.
Number 7.
Okay. Now, this number 7, I have already told you, and I'm repeating it. It is one of the questions that is the most tested. If you are born in, I don't know, nyinyi ni watu wa 7 ama watu wa 8. Anybody here, the number of years that you have taken in this world, 3/4 of it, that question has never been tested. 3/4. What was 6? 3/4 of the years that you have been in this world, that question has ever been tested in a KCP paper. And children normally fail it. It's one of the most failed questions again in KCP. Why? Because the children don't understand some facts. Now, what I want you to note is this. When we are talking about heat transfer, we have what we call conduction, we have what is called convection, we have what is called radiation. I wanted to see that radiation, energy. So I want you to check this. There's a diagram here that I want you to check. Okay, that one. I hope you are seeing it. So I want you to know this, that the upward movement of heat, upward movement of heat is convection. Upward movement of heat is convection. Upward movement of heat is convection. Okay. Upward movement of heat is convection. This boy is disturbing me, don't worry. Okay, the next thing that you need also to know is that the sideways movement of heat or downward movement of heat is radiation. Sideways movement of heat or downward movement of heat is radiation. So this one is radiation. Then lastly, conduction is now when you have the movement of heat in solids. So convection is the movement of heat in gases and liquid. This one is the movement of heat in a vacuum, but this one is the movement of heat in a solid. So that's what you need to know. Now, when you get a question like this, number 7, the illustration below represents a setup that can be used to investigate a certain aspect of heat. Now, this one was tested in 2019 or 2018. I don't know, it's in 2018 or 2017 where the cardboard was there. So this is a KCP, this is a KCP question. Now, can somebody just tell me why this stand was between the candle here? Why was this stand put here? Write it in the chat. The reason why that candle was there. Somebody want to talk? Mary, you want to talk?
To prevent,
you want to talk?
To prevent.
May I talk?
Yeah, talk.
Prevent radiation.
The cardboard was most likely put there to prevent radiation.
Yes. So this was a KCP question. I don't know. The only year that I don't know, but it's between 2017 and 2019. There was a cardboard here to prevent learners from saying that the aspect being investigated is radiation. Reason, we have already said that radiation is the sideways movement of heat. So therefore, the cardboard was there. Now, so we are removing radiation automatically, and therefore, this is ion. So when we use ion, if we use ion, we are testing what? Wait. Working at home, so don't worry. So we are saying that thing was put there, was removed there to the ion is for conduction. How people have written, I believe people have written ion for conduction. So why do you think these people did not use wood instead of iron? Why was wood not used?
Because wood is not a conductor of, is a poor conductor. Yeah.
Yeah, wood is the poor conductor of heat, and these people are investigating conduction. So therefore, the material that they have to use here was supposed to be iron. Somebody's microphone is on. Leonard. Okay, thank you. So you see, that's what we are saying. So automatically, because we are investigating conduction, this one must be iron. 2015, it was wood, and there was no cardboard, and the candle was not touching the material. Anytime this candle is down, if it is down, if we put the candle down, and I'm repeating that, anytime you see the candle downwards, let me have my board so that you see. If anytime you put the candle down below the wood or below the metal, we are going to investigate convection also. Anytime this candle is not touching whatever is here, whether it's a wood or whether it's a metal, then we are going to talk about conduction. That is 2017, I think so. 2017, there was that conduction and convection because the candle was not touching the metal. 2016, it was wood. 2015, the candle was downwards, but this one was wood. So that's why we also again say that it's not conduction. So we say it convection and radiation. For 2015, convection and radiation. 2016, this one was wood, so that was the mistake that was done. 2017, then we were investigating convection and conduction. Please make sure you check those ones because it's one of the most tested questions ever in KCP. So I hope the person who was asking now have understood. The answer was so purely supposed to be conduction. Peke yake. So solid conducts heat. That's the answer. There's no any other. Correct? Evelyn, we are still moving with you. Evelyn left. Our prefect is there. Evelyn, we are not hearing you.
Teacher number 10.
Oh, number 10. While you are sleeping. Okay, number 10. Somebody to read it, number 10.
Which one of the following diseases can be prevented by draining stagnant water and clearing bushes?
Okay.
Prevented by draining stagnant water and clearing bushes.
Very good. That question is a KCP question. If you look at KCP very well, that question has ever been tested. Remember, out of the waterborne diseases,
which of the following diseases can be prevented by draining stagnant?
Out of the waterborne diseases, the most preventive measure that is tested the most in KCP is bilharzia. Out of common communicable diseases, the most tested is malaria. So make sure you be very clear. If they say which diseases are prevented by draining stagnant water, only, they have not specified anything, stagnant water. Answer, bilharzia and malaria. But these people are very specific here and saying clearing the bushes. That one now eliminate bilharzia because bilharzia does not happen because of clearing of bushes. So automatically the answer become malaria. Next question. Evelyn.
Number 11.
Number 11. Okay. Water that easily forms scales. That is add water. That is add water. That is add water. Let me show those people who have not seen the add water. These people who are staying in Nairobi, they might have not seen add water, but the people in Isiolo, people in Marsabit, they have seen the add water. So I want to see where we are talking about the scale. The scales are these ones. So I hope I will have a diagram. I hope so. They have not given us any diagram, but I wanted to see the diagram. I don't know why we don't have diagrams here in this one. Okay, we don't have the diagrams. Well, sana for that. But what you need to know that a soft water is the water that lathers easily with soap, whereas hard water is water that does not lather easily with soap. Soft water is this water that is coming from the what? From rain. Whereas hard water is coming from wells, from springs, and all those kind of things. But make sure you know that hard water has got disadvantages. And one of the most disadvantages is that it discolors our clothes. That is the use of scum. If you wash the clothes, then you're going to see that in your clothes, there are some marks on it. That is called scum. So if we talk about washing of clothes, we are talking about scum. But when we are talking about the pipes, we are talking about scales. Or far when we are talking about boilers. So these are the disadvantages of hard water. Hard water, wear out clothes or vigorous. I wanted to see where we have the scum and the scale. They don't have that. So that's what we need to know. So water that, so we are in number 11. So we are talking about water that forms scale, that is hard water. Water that forms scales on pipes or on sufurias, that is add water. So it is not water that is boiled, because boiling is softening, add water. Form lather with soap very easily, that is soft water. So these two are soft water. It's not good for drinking. Discolors teeth. This one is add water. Remember, add water is also good for drinking because it strengthens our teeth. It contains minerals. So it has the minerals. And those minerals are calcium and magnesium. Those minerals are help in the strengthening of our teeth. So that is correct. So the answer, which was supposed to be wrong there is meaning that water is dog. Discolor teeth is make our teeth brown. Any question?
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
Can
Endelea, Paul.
scale
Continue. Paul.
So I wanted to ask,
Mm.
what is the difference between scale and far?
The more or less the same, but it's only that pipes scales we get in pipes. Far we might be also getting them in pipe or sufuria boilers, but I don't think they are just more or less the same. There are no difference. Are you okay?
Thank you.
Any question? Okay, we can now move, Evelyn.
Just somebody was asking about number 9.
Now, amekuja late. Which of the following statement best describe real erosion? This one we discussed last time. So make sure you check the recording for last meeting. We discuss all these. Visible landslide, that is sheet. Deep channels, that is gully. Small channels on slants, that is real. And small holes under trees, that is splash. So the correct answer there is cut. Somebody was talking? Somebody was talking? Somebody was talking? Okay, let's continue. Evelyn.
Number 3.
Excuse me, sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Are scales formed on both?
Wait. Oh, you are asking? Ole? What are you asking? This is the problem of working at home. So you have so many disruptions. Endelea? He has left. He's supposed to be asking a question. He will come back. Evelyn, next.
Number 13.
Number 13. This is an experimental diagram. This is the diagrams that we call experimental diagrams. So experimental diagrams, so 5 pupils carried out the experiment shown below. So water is inside the glass, and then we have stiff paper. Anytime we have this thing here, the water did not pour out, that is observation. Remember we said you make sure you have observation and what? And conclusion. So if the observation is water did not pour out, conclusion, this is air exert pressure. So what did they conclude? Water exert pressure, no. Air pressure outside the glass is greater than that in the water, no. Water pressure, no. Matter occupies space. Where? Air pressure outside the glass is greater than in the water. So that is the correct answer. So we are talking about air pressure there. So the correct answer is supposed to be boy, I think so.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct.
Yes.
Okay, next.
Number 15.
Number 15. That is a food chain. Remember last time we talked about the food chain? So if it,
I was asking the scales are found in metallic and plastic pipes.
No, they are all the metal pipes. That's why now you see most pipes nowadays we have plastics to prevent that. So all the pipes change to plastics because the metal pipes are the ones that will have the scales because they are reacting. You know, the scales are as a result of reaction between the minerals that are inside the water with the metal. So that's the reaction. So with the pipes, they don't react. Are you okay? Grace, are you okay? Okay. So, yeah. Evelyn, check those people who are talking, then we see what they are saying. Okay, let's move to number 15. The diagram below represents a food chain. So I've already explained this for food chain, and I told you exactly what you are supposed to know. Is that maize?
So you have skipped number 14.
I know I'm moving what Evelyn is telling me. Okay, let me go to 14 first before I go back to 15. Which of the following disease is a child immunized against by administering one dose at the age of 9 months? This one is very, very easy. Make sure you know the immunization schedule. Make sure you know immunization schedule. That is the first thing that you need to know. And this is always very, very easy. Make sure you know this because the old one and the new one. The old one first, and then the new one. The new one, they only need to know time, but the old one, you need so many things. So let's see, this is disease. Somebody's microphone is on. Then let's say this is time and a vaccine. So this is the vaccine. Whose microphone is on? This boy. Please don't disrupt us. Okay. Then let's say this is time where the disease is being administered. So this is time. Then this one here is the dose that is given. Then this is how the dose is given. And then we can even have the sixth one. This is where is the dose being administered. Where is the dose being administered? So we have number one, the first disease that is always being immunized is TB. TB is having a vaccine called BCG. BCG. Time is immediately at birth. So write, mine might not be correct. So write them if you are writing at birth. So I will just be telling you because this one will take a lot of time to write. No, I'm just typing. Okay, dose given here is 1. How here is injection. Where left lower arm. So if you check your left lower arm here, left lower arm, everybody, all those people who are born in the hospital, check here, you'll find a mark here. Sometimes we call it a birthmark. It's not a not a birthmark. It is the BCG vaccine, lower left arm. That's where the vaccine is. Number 2, the second disease is polio. So write it, polio, second disease, polio. Polio is given a vaccine called anti-polio. Polio. Right here, birth. At birth, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 14 weeks. So polio is given 4 doses. Polio is given how? Oral, and also given in the mouth. Those are the places where polio is given. Then the next disease that is in the new schedule, but just have it here, called hepatitis B. Hepatitis B. Hepatitis B. Vaccine, just vaccine of hepatitis B is just a hepatitis B. The same as polio, birth, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 14 weeks. Doses 4. Although it is given more than that. How injection? Where? I think it's given in the mouth. I don't know, but I don't know where it's being given. That one we don't have. I think that's why they did not include it in the old one. But you can do research. Where are you being given HB? Then we have DPT disease. That is diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus. Is given a vaccine called DPT. Has got 3 doses. That is 6, 10 weeks, 14 weeks, and then 3 doses, or how injection where left thigh. So check your left thigh, you'll find a mark there. That left thigh here, you'll check up. If you check it very well, you find a mark there. That is for the DPT. So that's the, then now we are for the 9 months, that is the measles, 9 months. Time here is 9 months, doses is 1. Measles is here, anti-measles, 9 months, 1 dose. How injection, right upper arm. Alex, surely you are disturbing us. Okay, we give it here in the left, right. Measles is right upper arm. Then yellow fever is also 9 months. The other remaining immunizable diseases are given when there is an outbreak. But I wanted to read for you the new one, the new schedule, but it is very difficult to master the way we have mastered that. So in the new schedule, they only have time and the disease. So go to class 6 book, primary science, check the new schedule where they only have time and diseases. So there are many here. We have flu, we have meningitis, we have pneumonia, we have rotavirus. There are so many. So go and check them in the book there. So when we go now to this question, which was asking which one of the following actually by 1 dose at the age of 9 months. So you just pick yellow fever or anti-measles. So that is measles or yellow fever. So in our case here, the answer is yellow fever. Then when we go to number 15, the diagram below represents a food chain where I've already talked about a food chain. I said maize, grasshopper, lizard, and snake. Producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, and then tertiary consumer. So primary consumer is represented by that one automatically is grasshopper. I don't know why you failed that, and we talked about it last time. Next question.
Number 17.
Number 17, designing posters. This question, I don't know why you people normally fail it. Remember, I said when we are talking about control measures of HIV and AIDS, that is the second topic in class 8. And I think that question was also one of the most failed questions. It was the one that people failed the most. And I'm wondering why, because we have already, I've already talked about this one. So I wanted to check about that HIV and AIDS methods of control. I wanted to look at it, but I think it's not there. So what you need to know is very, very simple. In the method of controlling the spread of HIV and AIDS, class 8, not class 4. Class 4 was preventing, but now we are doing what? We are controlling the spread. In class 8, there are only 3. 1 is public awareness. 2, mass campaigning through various media. And then 3, mass education. There are only 3. Public awareness. Number 2, campaigning through various media. Then number 3, mass education. Now, campaigning through various media, meaning I go to the radio station, I talk about HIV and AIDS, go to the TV, go to the magazines, go to the posters, go to the billboards. Those ones are campaigning through various media. You hear that what you're saying? Then we are talking about public awareness. Public awareness, where is being done? In the funerals, in the crusades. It is in what? In weddings, in church. Those ones are where we are, chief barazas, where people are. Public awareness, where people are. You are talking to people. Like now, this one here, we can call it public awareness, where people are. Then mass education, now you teach people. So mass education can be done even in a radio station, but now it is all about teaching. So make sure you know all that. Okay, so please, designing posters on HIV and AIDS is a control measure for HIV and AIDS through what? So it cannot be mass education, cannot be creating public awareness, cannot also be the voluntary testing. We talk about mass media.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
Why mass media and you're not using a radio? And
you see, mass media is not radio only. That is, we talk about campaigning through various media. It is not radio only. It is letting people know. Letting people know about the HIV and AIDS through a media. So it can either be a radio, TV, and all those things. Tuko pamoja hapo, Margaret?
Yes.
Okay, Evelyn, check the charts. People should not, I said the chart should only have the discussion points only. Please, let people be quiet in the chat. Can you now continue, Evelyn?
Number 18.
The chart below, this is a flow chart. You can remember I was talking about a flow chart. And this number 18 was, I changed it. I don't know how it was changed.
Corrected.
It was corrected, but let me explain it so that you understand. When it comes to miscible and immiscible liquids, that is class 7. When it comes to that, what you need to know is we have two things that you need to know. There's water family and oil family. Water family, they mix with each other. Oil family, they mix with each other. But water family and oil family don't mix. I hope you have gotten what I've said. And I want somebody to write that one in the chat, whatever I'm saying, so that people don't concentrate writing their own things. We have already been told to keep quiet. So we are saying when it comes to miscible and immiscible liquid, we have water family and oil family. All water family mix with each other. All oil family mix with each other. Correct? Water family and oil family do not mix. That's why if you get a question where they mention the name of the liquid, even if there are 100 liquids, we'll only have 2 layers. If they mention, please don't get me wrong. I've said if they mention the names, waseme kerosene, paraffin, petrol, water, oil, ink, whatever, we have 2 layers. Because water family and oil family, those are the only families that we have. Correct. So what are the examples of water family? So somebody write again, this one is in the chat again. Examples of water family. These are the liquids that mix with each other. So say milk, ink, water, spirit. They mix with each other. These are water family. Okay, next is oil family. Oil family is all the fossil fuels. All the fossil fuels are oil family. All the fossil fuels are oil family. So all the fossil fuels are oil family. I wanted to check it, but I'm not seeing it. So all the fossil fuels, that is kerosene, paraffin, diesel, another one which I'm leaving, petrol, turpentine, all those ones are oil families, yes. So they mix with each other. Any question? Any question?
Excuse me, Chuck.
Between
Yes.
methylated spirit and surgical spirit, which one is in the water family?
All the spirits are in water family.
Excuse me.
You know, surgical spirit is in the class of alcohol, so they're just the same. They are all in water family.
Sure.
Mm.
What about mercury?
Mercury is a liquid. You have to know mercury, though it is a liquid, but mercury is not in either water family or oil family. Because do we have? I don't think if you have ever mixed mercury with any, but we'll try that.
And what about alcohol?
Is this? Mercury does not mix with water, I think so. But we'll try that. We'll check. I will check it. I've never thought of that. Any question?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me, Jacinta is asking, why has when you're injected the BCG vaccine, why hasn't the mask disappeared since we were born until now?
You see, it is like a birthmark, like something that you are born with. So the sense or the organs in our body or the part of our body, it become like it become like you are born a birthmark. Because you are being given immediately you are born, when your mother is still sleeping there, the first vaccine that the child is always being given is the BCG. So that BCG is like a part of you, like you are born with it. So the body does not do away with it. It is like a permanent scar. Some people are telling you there. It's a permanent scar. Okay.
Excuse me, teacher. I am confused. Is turpentine from the water family or from the...
Turpentine is oil family. Turpentine is oil. Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Are all liquids in the oil family flammable?
All liquids in the oil family?
Are all liquids in the oil family flammable?
Most, not all, because now you can't say all of them. Most. Are you okay? That's what we are calling fossil fuels.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's number 18. So you are supposed to answer it like that. So anytime question here, immiscible, so this Z must be an oil family. Then immiscible, and this is engine oil, this Q must also be an oil family. So that's why this Z and Q all of them were supposed to be oil family. So there was no answer here. That's why we changed it.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
What is turpentine used for?
Turpentine is used for, you have a, it is used in the Nini. Let me just take it, but I think it is used, turpentine.
Teacher.
Yeah?
It's used in the paint.
Yes, in the
painting.
Painting or in the road. Turpentine oil is applied to the skin for joint pain, muscle pain, nerve pain. Toothpaste. It is being also used for toothache. Sometimes. I don't know if these people are saying the correct thing. Just say turpentine is used in the oil, in the paint, and also in the when we are making the lami, the tarmac road, we can also use turpentine. But I'm surprised that it can also be used for the pain. We'll check that. You check that.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, sir.
Is tar in oil family?
Tar is in the oil family, yes. And you have to know which tar you are talking about. It is the tar, the oil tar, not the other one for tobacco. Okay. Evelyn, let's move faster now.
Number 20. Number
20. Class 6 pupils collected the following materials when modeling the solar system. I said when we are talking about the experimental question where we have the procedure, make sure you know the materials and their functions. The work of the wire was to do what? This question was tested in 2015. 2015, where we have bulb wire. So what do you think? Is attach the planet on the orbits, or model the planets, or attach the manila paper on the softboard, or make orbits? Because we already have candle works, so we are not going to talk about the model. attach the planet on the orbits. We have pins. So you just check what we have here. Already we have pins to do that. So the only thing you can do with the wire is to make orbits. Although that one was more tricky because most people went for attachment. How many people went for attachment?
Why not?
Yes.
Yeah, it was tricky, yes. But now you just need to understand that attach the planet on the orbit. Already we have the pins. So we'll work with pins, not wires. So the wires here, we are just going to have them go around the cardboard. So we have wires to do like that. So to make orbits. So that's what you can use wires to do that. You know, there are some places like places where we don't have the pencils to draw, so we can improvise. Remember, science is always talking about improvisation. So I think but that one was more of confusing. I agree with number 20. Correct. Next question.
Number 22.
22. Some people are still coming now. Okay, number 22. This is the diagram below represent a compost manure. Once you have a compost manure, remember compost manure has got layers. You make sure you know the functions of the layers. Make sure you know the functions of the layers. So we have this, a diagram like that. This is how it's supposed to look like. Not the way they have drawn it there. It's supposed to look like this. And now when we have this, so we have here, this is where we have the grass to prevent soil erosion. No, not soil erosion, but maybe to conserve moisture. So dry leaves, that is the dry leaves. Then the first layer is always topsoil. So topsoil, what is the function of the topsoil? Introduce bacteria. Second layer is always the ash. What is the function of ash? Add nutrients to the compost. The next layer is farmyard manure. What is the function of farmyard manure? FYM. Food to the bacteria. Food to the bacteria. This is the food to the bacteria. And then we have the fifth layer, which is the main one. This is what we call the kitchen refuse. Kitchen refuse, the main function of the kitchen refuse, it is the main product to be decomposed.
So I have a formula.
Then lastly, we have somebody to give us that formula very fast. Then we have maize stalk used for, maize stalk is used for what? It's used for act like a bed. Haya, kuna mtu akona formula anataka kutupatia?
It's does teacher Ann farm Kenya maize?
Does teacher Ann farm Kenyan maize? Very good. So D stand for dry leaves.
Dry leaves.
T stand for topsoil. A stand for ash. F stand for farmyard. K stand for kitchen refuse. And this one is maize stalk. Very good. Does teacher Ann farm Kenyan maize? If you are people who like doing that in science, make sure you have it. Yes, that's teacher Ann farm Kenyan maize. Oh, very happening.
Could you repeat what you have said? Some people have not heard.
Oh, we have said, it is being written there in the chat, that I've said, we have just come up with somebody has just given us the formula for that compost manure. And he's saying, does teacher Ann farm Kenyan maize? That is what is the compost here: dry leaves, topsoil, ash, farmyard manure, kitchen refuse, and maize stalk. Where we have the functions. Remember, we said when you get a diagram, make sure you know the functions of each part. So we are saying here, introduce bacteria, provide nutrients to the compost, food to the bacteria. Kitchen refuse is the main product to be produced, to be decomposed, and maize stalk act like a bed. So those are the main things. So what is the question asking? The question was asking about Z. Z is the ash. Is it the ash or topsoil? So this one was the layer label Z. Yeah, that is for the adding on nutrients. So the second layer, make sure you know that the second layer is always is always the ash. Second layer is the ash. Hope you have understood that, the person who was asking that. Next.
Number 23.
The water in a river is mainly polluted by, you have to be very, very keen. Be very, very keen with those kind of questions. This is a KCP question. We are talking about water in the river, and therefore there is no oil spillage in the river. Make sure you know that. Farm chemicals, yes. Acid, yes. Soil particle, yes. But now the question is asking which one is mainly. So you see now all this one can pollute water in the river. But which one do you think is the main? And therefore, the rivers are polluted mostly with flood. So if they are polluted mostly with flood, then we go with soil particles. That's the main. Unless you have a question. You know the river. Just take somebody's talking. Just take an example of the river.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes. I've excused you. Who is this one?
Excuse, teacher. If a river is near a factory and the river is polluted, how can the factory help to clean, to unpollute the water?
By treating the sewage, treating the things that are being released in the river. Remember I said last week that you make sure before you start a company, the government must know exactly how are you going to dispose your waste. So farm chemicals pollute the river deal, but it's not the main. Because how many industries do we have? But floods happen everywhere in the country. Whether you are in town, whether the river is in the village, there is a flood. So if you are asked the question of mainly, it means that the four can pollute the river. But which one pollutes the river most? I hope you have understood that. If you have understood, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. I am mute now. Okay, thank you. So that's correct. So anytime you are asked the question, mainly, be very keen. Mainly means that the four can do anything. But now out of the four, there is one which is the main. Flood is everywhere. Whether you are living in town, Nairobi, whatever, there is a flood. Kama ikinyesha, there will be a flood. That's why the water that is going to the river is always brown. It is always not clear the way it's coming from the rain. So it is always brown. Evelyn?
Number 24.
I hope we'll finish. Which of the following is adaptation of plants that grow on dry areas? That one is, remember I said again in science, there is the opposite. If you get a question like that, the opposite of that question is hydrophytes. So you read the choices and then say which one is hydrophytes. Spike leaves and deep roots, that is xerophyte. Broad leaves and many stomatas, hydrophytes. Succulent stem and many leaves, succulent stem is hydrophyte. No, not hydrophyte, but xerophyte, whereas many leaves is hydrophyte. Flexible stem, hydrophyte. So automatically choice A becomes the correct answer. Make sure you know that. Next.
Number 26.
The main reason why a pregnant mother diet should be rich in protein is to do what? That question is also a KCP question. Anytime you see the word protein is a development, the growth and development of the baby. Is the mother already, the body is, we have developed. But the main reason why they are eating food rich in protein is for the development of the fetus. Then the main reason why pregnant mothers' diet should contain food rich in iron. Iron is for the formation of blood of the fetus, not of the mother, of the fetus. Why is the pregnant mothers also take food rich in calcium for the strength, the development and the strength of the bones of the fetus, not of the mother. So make sure help in the formation of the strong bones and the teeth, that is calcium. Replace the blood loss during birth, that is iron for the lactating mothers, iron for lactating mothers replace the blood loss during birth. But for pregnant mothers, iron is for formation of the blood. Correct? Next.
Number 28.
So we are moving very fast now. We are about to finish. Which of the following parasites cannot be controlled by dipping? Any parasite that cannot be controlled by dipping are all internal parasite and sesafly. All internal parasites and sesafly cannot be controlled by dipping. And automatically now you pick tapeworm, because tapeworm there is the internal parasite. Somebody's having a question? Let's go. Let's go, Evelyn.
Number 29.
Class 4 pupils place aluminum sheet on water. They then roll it up into a ball placed in water. This is a KCP question again. What factors affecting floating and sinking were they trying to investigate? You see, we have aluminum sheet on water. Sheet, the way it is, put it on water, it's going to float. When we roll it into balls, it's going to sink. So what are we talking about? That the shape of the material. Because it was in a sheet form, it was floating. When it's in ball form, now it is sinking. So that one is the shape. Remember, we have shape, material, and size. Those are the main things that we need to investigate when we come to factors affecting sinking and floating. Whereas we will come and conclude that size does not affect sinking and floating. Correct? Next. Any question? 36. Anybody having a question so far?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
How do you control flies?
Flies. Now, SS, that one you go to SS, but science we normally say it can never be, it's one of the parasites that cannot be controlled. But SS, we can also say that you clear the bushes, like the Lambwe valleys or something like that. But fly is the only parasite that cannot be controlled according to science, because if you cannot dip, you cannot spray, you cannot do rotational grazing, you cannot do deworming because it is flying. So you cannot control it. But for SS, you can say it's through clearing of bushes. Okay, next. 36.
Yes.
Which of the following is a function of the placenta in the fetal development? This one also was bringing a problem, but make sure you know this. Make sure you know this. Let me give you this so that you know what you are supposed to talk about when that question comes in exam. The placenta is the main organ in the reproductive system. Is the main organ in the reproductive system. I wanted to show you, okay, this one is what we have now here, when the baby is about to be born. But when the baby is developing, somebody's talking. Who is that one now, Shwari? Please mute. When you are talking with somebody else, mute, so that we don't. So I was talking about when the baby is there in the womb. So after the fertilization, the baby come and develop here in the placenta. Now, placenta is the main organ. This is the main organ which is in charge of the nourishment. In fact, we normally talk about the nourishment of the fetus. So when the fetus is here, the person that is in charge of that fetus, the mother of the fetus inside the womb is the placenta, because it's the one that selects anything that is going in and going out. So what happened here is that the placenta is connected with the, I wanted to admit somebody here. Okay, so what happened here is that the placenta is connected with the umbilical cord. So it is the mother, and then the mother released, and then after the mother has released, then the umbilical cord will take, or the umbilical will take the waste materials from the baby to the placenta. So then the placenta to the mother. So that's the main thing that's taking place here. So the placenta is the mother of the fetus. So it has so many functions. Number one, it is the one that ensures that there is no harmful substances that goes to the baby. That's the main function of the placenta. So that's why after birth, this placenta must be removed from the mother's body. Because you see now everything here is coming from the mother's maternal supply in blood. So everything that from the mother's blood goes to the placenta first is when they go to the fetus. So what are we saying now? So it is the one that is in charge of everything. So you see now this is the umbilical cord, but now the umbilical cord is connected to the placenta. The placenta is connected to the mother's blood. And therefore, now if this question is asking us, transporting food and oxygen to the fetus, anything to do with transport or passage, that one is we are talking about what? We are talking about the umbilical cord. It is the one. Remember, it's the one that is transporting things from the placenta to the fetal blood, the fetus and with the mother's blood. Allow the embryo to attach itself, no? Carrying waste materials away from the fetus, yes. Acting as a source of food and oxygen, no, it does not provide food and oxygen. They provide food but not oxygen. So oxygen, no. So that's why the answer was they were marking. I hope they were marking with the cat. Cat was supposed to be the correct answer. Were they marking with cat, Evelyn?
They were.
Yeah. So that's the correct answer. Any question? Oh, no, there's no question, Evelyn. Let's move on. Number 36. So number 36 now I said, so the placenta is the one that is in charge of everything that is taking place in the body. But passage, it's the one, passage is the umbilical cord. So umbilical cord will pass what the placenta gives him to pass. So it's like that, the exchange. So all those exchanges between the mother.
Why not dog?
Oh, the reason why I'm saying it's not dog, that is a source of food and oxygen. No, the baby has got his own oxygen. So there's the oxygen is just coming through the placenta, but not that is the placenta that produced that oxygen. No, are you okay? So the acting as a source of food is okay, but oxygen, no, oxygen is passing through the placenta. Very good. Let's move on very fast now. We are almost finishing. I hope people are tired. Number?
No. Number 40.
So we are almost finishing. Which of the following is not a way of storing water? That's very, very easy. A way of storing water. Now we have tankers. Tankers are transporting water. They are not storing. That's why the problem with people in Nairobi. So they think that those tankers are storing water. No, they are just transporting. So storing water are those dams and buckets. Next.
Number 43.
And people store it in buckets.
Yeah?
Excuse me, teacher.
Do people store water in buckets?
Yes.
Yes.
Kwani, haya. Sharon.
Yes.
You are Bontao, so you are only seeing tanks, eh? But even inside, Sharon, inside the house, eh? Inside the house, eh? Sikuna kajerikens, ama nyinyi uko na tank. Sharon?
Yes.
Yes, there are some jerrycans, buckets inside the house to store water. Okay, Evelyn, let's go to number 43. Which of the following activities can come last when making a beam balance? These are process question. These are process question where you are supposed to know the procedure. The procedure of making a beam balance, I told you, just know the first, the second, and the last. So the last is always suspending the tins to compare the mass. But make sure you know which one is the first. And then the second, this is 2006. Look at the question 2006. You'll get this question here. Making a beam balance. So the last one is suspending the tins. Evelyn. Are we done?
Number 46.
46. Which of the following is the first step in separating a mix of wheat flour, husk, and salt? Now remember, but the method of separation of mixtures, it is one of the most important questions in KCPE. In fact, since you are born up to now, that question has been tested more than 3/4 times your age. So if you are 10 years, if you are 14 years, it has ever been tested 10 times. The methods of separation of mixtures. It is always in each and every KCPE year. So if you are not are well with it, please make sure you check that, and then you see exactly what is supposed to be done. So this is winnowing. This is how we are doing winnowing. So you see now that mama anafanya winnowing. This is sieving. So you see now the sieving. See ile ya chai in filtration. This is sieving. So that's how we do sieving. And then this is we are doing picking. So now the old mama is picking. That is picking. So that's how we do picking. Filtration is that we're using filter paper. Decantation is this one where we are using after settling, and then we use the magnet. Then after magnet, we do what we call evaporation. So those ones are the KCP questions are so many. You can even check here. There are so many, so many. So the Kenya National Examination Council like testing that question. So we have wheat flour and husks and salt. Which one is the first step? Winnowing, filtering, dissolving, or sieving? Hiya, somebody to tell me. Winnowing, no. You cannot winnow first. I think we are going to sieve first, and then when we sieved first, what is going to pass is the flour and salt are going to pass, and the husk are going to remain on the sieving. You know the sieving, if you look at the sieving, it will only allow the small particles to pass through, and the bigger ones will remain. So the husk and the salt and the flour will pass through the sieving. Then will leave us with the husk here. Then we pour the husk out. Then we now have salt and flour. We dissolve, then evaporate. Then we get our salt. So we dissolve the salt, filter, then evaporate. So that procedure was supposed to be sieving, dissolving, filtering, evaporation. Then now you get everything that you want. Any question?
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
I have a question on number 14. Are tankers also used in storing water at home?
Tankers, no. Tankers, they are not storing water. According to science, the main function of tankers is to transport. There is transportation and storage. So transportation is done by tankers and pipes. Yeah?
Child, they are thinking it's tank.
Oh, no, tankers are not tanks. Yeah. Oh, by the way. Thank you very much. Who is that who has realized the mistake of that person here?
Chris.
Tankers are not tanks. They are tanks and they are tankers. Tankers are lorries that are transporting things, whereas tanks are those things that have been put there. Leonard, thank you. Hiya, let's finish now, Rani, my dear. Evelyn.
Number 44.
We are going back, surely. Now we have already reached number 46. You know what mimi nimechoka. Hiya, but let's just continue. The following are sources of current electricity. This one we talked about last time. Current electricity. This one we talked about last time. And we said dry cells are not there. Remember, this one is a repeated question in our papers. I think it was in a mock paper. That question here, number 44. So please don't fail questions that have already been tested and we have revised. Next.
Number 45.
Si tulikuwa tumefika 46 actually. Haya. The following are magnetic materials. That is, you are using what we call tinska and sacks. This one also we revised last time. We revised this one. Iron bar, scissors, copper pipe, and cobalt battery. We are talking about except that is copper pipe. Copper is not a magnetic material. Copper is not a magnetic material. Next.
Number 48.
Okay, this is the fish. Then this is water. And then you are observing the water. The fish appeared raised due to automatically there is apparent depth, that is refraction. So that is refraction of light, not refraction of fish. You know, some people picked A because they just know it's a refraction. So it's not refraction of fish, but it's refraction of light, and therefore you go with C. That is changes of medium of transmission of light.
Teacher, that was not in the marking scheme. I wrote that and they failed me. The answer was A, according to the marking scheme.
Yeah. They were marking with A.
Yes. No, I'm marking with C.
I don't think so. But let's just confirm. You know, these things you just confirm here. Science answers sheet. I think it's this one. You're talking about number 48. I'm wondering why they can mark with A. A is not refraction of light of fish. It has to be refraction of light, not fish. But let's just confirm. Number 48. And there are some people who are having very big problems of submitting. I don't know what we'll do to them. We'll have with them a discussion so that we see how we can help them to submit. Some people are getting stressed when they are submitting their work.
Not answer sheet.
So number 40, yeah, it was C, Nani. It is only yours that was marked with A. I don't think so, but it was being marked with C. So you see, it was C. Yeah. So C is the correct answer. Let's move on, but you will check, Nani, check if yours was marked correctly. Then we check. Lastly now.
Number 49.
Which one of the following foods will correctly fit in the part labeled M to make a balanced diet? A balanced diet, we go with 3. We have said we are going with the 3. So if you go with 3, automatically strawberry will provide vitamin. Then we have sweet potato, so we are lacking protein there. So we put mutton.
Hey.
So we put mutton here. Yeah?
40.
Number 4. Eh?
Yeah, sorry.
Are we done?
Sorry.
Oh, Evelyn, are we done?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So you can now see how it is important for you to go through the science questions very keenly. And you find the questions are very, very, very easy. You should be scoring 100% in every science paper for you to aim at 80, 81, 82, 83, 84 in KCPE. But if you are scoring 80 right now, know very well that you are still at 60s. Know very well that you are still at 60s. If you have 80, you have 60. I think that one you saw very well when I do for you the percentage. So ensure that you work smartly, read the questions very keenly, so that when you get a question, you analyze it. You don't finish early. Me, I'm wondering a person finishing science paper at 8:10. I've had people start asking, where is the answer sheet? Please do science paper up to 8:30 huko. Ndio sasa you have checked each and every question. Now you are able to transfer your answers because you have gone through them. But if you are just a kind of person that read very easily, you write refraction of fish instead of refraction of what? Of light. So thank you very much, you guys. See you. I will post for you the